Greetings, Algo artisans. Exciting week for Bitcoin. Trump speaks at Nashville. We're going to analyze what he said and how it affected the markets. So let's jump into the news right now. Remember, nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause and read this disclaimer. Okay, so here's an article from CoinDesk. Bitcoin prices see wild trading as Trump plans to establish Bitcoin as a U.S. strategic asset. Over 24 million in Bitcoin longs were liquidated in the past hour, data shows, amid Trump's speech at Bitcoin 2024. The Trump event seemed to at least be a sell the news event immediately afterwards, but it does appear that Bitcoin is going strong. So let's read what this article says, and we're going to take a look at some of the data. We got a really good set of data from an individual on X/Twitter that explains what happened with the price at the time. It does say here that the Bitcoin price volatility boomed as former U.S. President Donald Trump's speech at Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville. Trump unveiled plans to make a strategic national Bitcoin stockpile if elected, which was in line with the market expectations heading into the speech. Now, first of all, the fact that there were market expectations leads me and many to believe that the speech was priced in. A lot of people were expecting him to talk about this, and when the expectations happen, people buy ahead of time. So the price probably led up prior to the speech, right? And in fact, it says right here, in the lead up to Trump's comments, the digital asset rose above 69,000 on Saturday. Price fell as low as 66.7 before jumping back over 68,000. Data from CoinGecko shows, as traders digested this speech, the broader market index, CoinDesk 20, followed the same pattern. So a lot of longs got liquidated. A lot of people thought that his speech was going to cause price to skyrocket, and in fact, price did quite the opposite. It was technically a sell the news event. However, it does appear that price has remained strong. Okay, sure. The price went down a little bit after the speech, but what's it doing now? Well, first of all, let's take a look at some of the deeper data during the speech, and then we'll take a look at the charts. Now, this is from DeFi Carrot 2. You can find him on Twitter, or her on Twitter, DeFi Squared, at DeFi Squared is the handle. And it says here, I thought it was obvious to people, but evidently not. So I'll give an extremely detailed breakdown of why both Trump's speech and associated price action are ridiculously bullish. Leading into the speech, there were billions of dollars worth of short-term speculative Bitcoin buys and calls that were open for the sole purpose of attempting to catch the 10% plus move in the event that the rumor was true that Trump would be buying 1 million Bitcoin, right? So there was a rumor that Trump would buy 1 million Bitcoin. Midway through the speech, when it seemed less apparent that he would be saying this, many of these speculators started closing, and Bitcoin reached a low of 66,500 before the speech had even finished. If he had ended the speech right then and there, Bitcoin easily would have sold off to 65,000 or lower, which is likely the price most speculators first started heavily bidding before the event. The thing that's noteworthy is that the conference frontrunners did not get what they wanted in the end, which is the buying 1 million Bitcoin rumor. Their actual targets can be seen from options activity, where the most heavy volume is centered around August 2nd calls with $70,000 strike prices. Okay, quick break here, just so you understand how options work. Options strike price, that represents where people think price is going to go. Okay, that's the simplest way to say it without explaining how options work. When you see a strike price, that represents where the options traders think that price will go. And options traders tend to be a bit more sophisticated than the rest of the market. So many will use this as either an estimation where price is going to go, or they'll use it like this person is saying that this is where a lot of the smart money thought price would go, which was 70K. And it went to 69. So let's get back into this, meaning that since the speech, there's been hundreds of millions of dollars of sell pressure from low time frame frontrunners closing their buys after not getting a black swan candle. For example, this Bybit trader closed 175 million of longs in 1 hour period, about 8 hours after the event. It says here, without the existence of frontrunners, short-term speculators, Bitcoin likely would have been trading around 65,000 going into the speech. What he means by that is people who were expecting this $1 million Bitcoin, or at least for Trump to be bullish on Bitcoin, the fact that they expected this and bought everything, and they were pushing price up. And if those frontrunners did not do so, he expected price to be trading around 64,000. I've not seen the numbers as to why he thinks this, or she or whatever, but it does seem that this person has a decent idea of what they're talking about. So let's just assume they're correct for the rest of the article, and we'll take the article at face value, right? It says the fact that the majority have now closed and we're trading at 68,000 implies that we're actually trading much higher now, with these positions having swapped to longer-term investors who have bought hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin post the event. And this isn't surprising at all because everything about the event was objectively bullish. Okay, we don't need to go through the rest of this. I mean, it's a good article to read. I really recommend you take a look at this at DeFi Squared, and I'll go ahead and post a link to this in the description. So definitely take a good look at that. And I'd actually subscribe to this person. I really like their report and I thought it was very valuable. Now, just a quick side note before you take a look at the charts, we got Kamala Harris campaign aims to repair Democratic Party ties with crypto sector. So this is going to be overall bullish for the entire sector. I'm not going to go deep into this article. I just want to point out here that historically Kamala Harris had said the same thing that a lot of politicians have said: Bitcoin is money for criminals, such things like that. In the meantime, it does appear that a lot of Democrats have gotten together and have decided that they need to take a little bit different of a take towards crypto. And I think it's probably just for party optics. I'm not sure how they really feel about it. This says right here in this article, which is over on CoinDesk, this shift comes in the wake of a letter signed by Democratic members of the U.S. House of Representatives and 2024 candidates. This letter calls for the party to reconsider its approach to the digital asset industry, highlighting the importance of moving away from perceived hostility. Okay, so it's kind of a soft, hey, we don't hate it so bad. That's kind of what they're doing. They want the party to not be so against crypto, because my estimation is that they're taking a look at the entire market. They're finding that people are pro-crypto and they don't want the party to get hurt for that. They don't want to be unpopular. I'm guessing that's the only reason they're doing it, but who knows? Maybe they're seeing the light. I'm not going to pretend to know what's in their heads, but this is certainly what they've done, at least on the surface. Let's jump into the charts. We're going to go to the daily chart just to see how things happen leading up to the event. You can see price bounced off of 64,000, and in fact, I covered this a few days ago in one of the videos here, where you have this sort of a tweezer bottom that was very bullish, and price bounced off of that and headed upwards. It broke out of this consolidation right here, which I expected a bigger move down, but when it bounced right there, I thought that was rather bullish, because a lot of people were seeing, okay, Bitcoin just made a lower high, it's going to go down. I heard some people guessing into the 40,000 range, and when it bounced off of this, even given what I was seeing, I said, oh, okay, this is rather bullish. Well, that explains it, right? People were expecting Trump to talk about buying 1 million Bitcoin or whatever this rumor was, or at least to be bullish. And leading up into the event, we did see price do really well. Now, the actual event is what we're going to cover next, and I'm going to jump down to the 30-minute chart, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about what I think might happen in the next days and possibly weeks. So the event was right about here, and you see this big dump downwards, and then price actually popped back up pretty quickly and then has found an equilibrium, which is just basically at the top of this prior range. There was a range going back to about the 20th of July, so about a week ago, and it was a range where price was more or less bouncing between 66,300 and about 68,200, and it didn't last too long, this range. But because price did kind of bounce off the top here, I'm comfortable looking at this as at least an area where price might be attracted to and pivot once again. And it does appear that pivot is happening possibly right now. We'll see about it. But we do see price calming down quite a bit. And remember, this is the summertime. The event is over. Price is being held up nicely though. What I do think is bullish about this chart is that price made a very big move up, a strong move up. In fact, when you see this kind of a channel with higher highs and higher lows over and over, this is what I call the stairway to heaven. I don't know if I made that up or got it from someone else. But when you see that kind of pattern, that usually means the price is very bullish. And I'm going to attribute that to being pre-conference, right? All the people buying pre-conference, Trump saying he's going to, buy 1 million Bitcoin, whatever the rumor was, people were rather bullish. But the fact that price did not sell back down to these prior levels prior to this rise down here is rather bullish, right? If the rumor was untrue and people did not get what they want, you would think price would go back down to where it was prior to the event. And it did seem to. You had this really deep, hard dip right partway through the speech, right about here, and now price actually rolled back up and is maintaining around 68,000. As of now, the price is 68,100. Not to say that it can't go down from here, but the fact that it is maintained where it is after that speech is rather bullish. A lot of these speeches and events end up being a sell the news scenario, where a lot of the smart money gets in beforehand and then they sell into the FOMO buyers, right? So you have the event actually happen, people say, oh, Trump is bullish, and they just buy, and a lot of the smart money will tend to use that as a way to exit from their longs. In this case though, like that article just said, a lot of your long-term investors went ahead and bought up price before it could go down too deep. So the market is pretty bullish on Bitcoin due to this. Now, does that mean the price is going to run up to the all-time highs again? It's quite possible. It could head up and break out soon. However, it may, of course, need to go back down and grab liquidity. So I'll give the different possibilities, and we are going to take a quick look at the Kingfisher map, and we're going to redraw our liquidity for the liquidations. So here's the liquidation map for Bitcoin. not a lot of liquidity upside, right? Most of the liquidity upside is right above price, going up to about 69,000. We can go ahead and mark that little area right here. Price will be attracted up to about 69,000, 68,800 to be precise. This yellow box is where price might go in the near term. And of course it could go higher, but this yellow box is the area where liquidations are on the exchanges, right? This is where a lot of money can be made if price goes up there, provided the price wants to go up, and we will address that in just a moment. Back to the liquidations. We do have a fair amount of liquidations directly below price, mostly sitting in the 66,700 to 67,700. Okay, so price is pretty much sandwiched between a fair amount of liquidity, and the way the price goes will be more estimatable by looking at price action and by algos. And there is liquidity deeper down, a fair amount of liquidity in the low 60,000 range, say 62,000 and around 61,000. And at this point, there's always going to be some liquidity there because a lot of people have their stop losses down at the bottom of this area. So I'll just put a couple lines down there just for posterity. I don't think I really need to look too tightly at those right now, but let's go ahead and look at the algos. Price is bullish against resistance on the daily, and on the weekly, I would say it's again bullish. Price is basically bullish against resistance around the board, and there is a chance on the monthly the price is ready to flip bullish. However, the monthly moves so incredibly slowly, I would rather pay more attention to price action than algos. So at this point, if price were to go down, I don't think it's ready to go down yet. And on the near term, price is a bit bullish on the swing trading timeframes and on the day trading timeframes. So I right now would expect price to go up and maybe retest these highs from the event, or even just grab liquidity here between in this yellow box above between 68,200 and 68,800. That might be where price goes right now. And if there's just not enough volatility, price would go ahead and range and grab those values. So for now, I probably wouldn't be short for any kind of day trading. I probably would be long, and I tend not to day trade over the weekend. There's just not a lot of volatility over the weekend. I prefer to swing trade, if anything, over the weekend. So that's our report for now. That's all we have time for. I hope this video was helpful. Please come over to algofactory.tech. We teach people how to build their own trading method, otherwise known as an algorithm. You don't have to know how to code, but if you do code, we can put you on the path to where you can build something that trades for you while you're not at the computer. If you just want to trade manually, which is what most people are doing, then that is, of course, something that we can help you do and help you have the capability to possibly extract money out of these markets on a regular basis. And while we do focus on crypto for a lot of these videos, I'm actually primarily a Forex trader, and you got to know that crypto doesn't go forever. It goes for about a year and a half, and then for a couple of years, there's not much going on in crypto. And if you want to be a trader, you're going to want to understand how to really trade, how to put on those big boy pants, because what's going to happen is eventually crypto's going to flatten out, and the meme coins aren't going to be what they used to be, most likely. I've seen it enough times and been in this game since 2017. I don't expect that to change. So come on over, learn how to trade. As a matter of fact, we got some pretty happy customers who are already down the path of success in their algo building. Let's hear from one of those right now.
This is ThinkFree's Algo Factory testimonial. I began my prescription for Algo Factory the summer of 2023. I am now 70 years old, and I have set a goal to have a supplementary income by learning to trade. I have been putting in about 3 to 4 hours per week of study time. In spite of this small time of commitment, I am determined to learn to trade. I set a goal of slow, steady progress in my learning. It is now March of 2024, and I have been delighted that through the articulate speech and hands-on help and support from Cowboy, I have developed an algo that looks very promising. I've come to appreciate Cowboy's remarkable ability to communicate and teach. He's not just knowledgeable, but also very creative in his shoot-from-the-hips approach. I wonder, is that where the name Cowboy came from? I have followed the Algo Cowboy and V the Guerrilla Economist for more than 3 years, and have found them to be very respectful, caring, and firmly rooted in reality. By that I mean they have a clear, deep, no-nonsense understanding of the world we live in, not just in trading and economics, but geopolitically and, dare I say, spiritually as well. For me, this fact makes working with them all the more gratifying and secure. This has and continues to be a great investment of my time and money. Also ends up being fun with the humor that is shared amongst our Algo Factory group members. Thank you, Cowboy.
AlgoFactory.tech. Trade your job, upgrade your life, and we'll see you on the next one.